Today you've been invited to watch as a makeup artist applies makeup to a model. This is very relaxing to watch. It can also be very therapeutic to apply. And as a model, many can say that it can make them fall asleep. It's such a gentle process. So all you have to do is sit down and observe. The model has been prepped. Her hair has been scraped back and secured, so it's completely out of the way. The makeup artist, first of all, takes a look at the skin and decides what has to be done just to prep and clean to prepare that surface for all of the products. She decides on a simple cleanse, which she does in a way that you've seen before. Gentle massage movements all over the face and neck using a very light, creamy product. This alone is very relaxing to watch, to do, and also to receive as the model. And it lets you know that there's much more to makeup artistry than just applying the product. She removes it with sponges. Then she gently tones the face to remove any excess and to prepare the surface. And she also spritzes with some toner, which acts as a hydrator. She then applies some serums, again to prepare the skin. And this is in very light, feathery movements from the neck upwards. And you're surprised at how healthy and settled the skin looks. It's not at all stimulated. There's no erythema. It's all very delicate and very gentle because this isn't a facial. There isn't a quest to stimulate that skin. It's merely to cleanse it and to prepare it for product. She then finishes with a very light moisturiser because next there will be a gentle primer. And the primer is there just to ensure that any products applied to the skin stay put. You don't have to use it, but it really does help the longevity of your makeup. It can also really help for products to sit better on the skin, to sit evenly, and it can even help with the colour as the day goes on, because sometimes products can actually oxidise on the skin and they can change and evolve from the colours and the look that was originally created. Everything is settling into the model's skin as the makeup artist begins to prepare the base. She's colour matching the foundation, and it's on the jawline beside the cheek, just on the edge, and it's where the neck and the jaw and the cheek all blend together because it gives you the best match for the skin. And this is because there can be variations in your facial skin to your body skin, and even though it might not be very noticeable, the colours can vary. So if you just try to match to the cheeks alone, you might find that it doesn't quite match the neck. So it's good to get an idea just to make sure that even if it's not exactly perfect, the overall colour is going to be the best choice to blend the facial skin to the neck, and therefore it will work with the body. If you need to, you can always use things like bronzers and powders just to get that final colour. She selects the best two colours. Sometimes you have to blend more than one, but she selects one out of those two that will be perfect for today. And the best colour is the one that is invisible to the eye when it's applied to the skin. The foundation is to even out the base, not to provide colour to the skin. You can definitely choose a foundation to warm the skin, but you shouldn't be using it to change the colour of the skin. This can be done with different products. So once she's selected that colour, she applies some to the back of her hand, and then she has the choice of using her fingers, brushes, sponges, lots of different applicators to get that final result. And depending on the area and the texture, and if there are any skin issues, she might vary her application technique on different parts of the skin. Sometimes a brush gives the smoothest result. Sometimes a sponge is needed to stipple over an area. Other times it's the heat of the fingers. As long as everything is sanitised and there is no cross-contamination, all of this is perfectly acceptable and par for the course. The model is thoroughly enjoying this, completely relaxed. And sometimes the makeup artist might give the model the mirror just to hold in her hand and take a look. Other times it's good just to let them enjoy the process and see the end result. Everyone's different, so you just go with their own personality and their own goals. Once the foundation is applied and fully blended, it's time to look at some concealer, just to lighten and brighten any areas. Can be for many different reasons. Might be some light reflector in darker areas, such as at the sides of the nose, or it could be under the eyes. It might be some colour correction if there's any redness or any darkness or any breakouts. And it could be some precision concealing if there are any spots that require to be hidden, or just anything that needs to be covered for today to get that result. Again, precise, thin, carefully blended application of concealer is the goal. And then when it's applied, a light dusting or pressing of powder ensures that it sets in place and should last for quite a long time. Depending on your skin type, there's no guarantee how long it will last because everyone's skin's different. Dry skin can start to absorb product and it can look a bit cakey. Oily skin, it can slide off. Sometimes if you touch your face a lot, you can actually wear it away. So everyone is different, and there are absolutely no guarantees that that application will last the day, but what you can do is apply it well and set it well for the goal of it applying and lasting as long as possible. But touch-ups are sometimes required, not always, but sometimes. And then she moves on to highlighting and shading. Not heavy contouring though, this is a very natural makeup. So brightening where possible, just where it needs it. Maybe a little bit again near the eye area, on the cheekbones, some highlighter. Maybe a touch of highlighter on the nose, but not at the tip of the nose. Maybe just a little bit down the central panel. Maybe a touch on the forehead. Again, everyone's face, all different shapes, different looks that you're going for, but this is just a gentle highlight. And then shading with a slightly darker concealer just under the cheekbones for definition. maybe if necessary a little bit of correction on the nose, but again everyone's different. Maybe a little bit of shading around the forehead, possibly under the chin, just for definition, and then blend that away. You blend it to the point where it's almost invisible. And then once this is done, some blusher. Just enough blush to warm up the cheeks, give some colour to the face, continue working on the highlighting and the shading. But you will come back to that at the end, because once the eyes are done and the lips are done, you can go back and take a final look and enhance that cheek colour. And then you decide to powder down before you do your bronzer. So you're watching the makeup artist, and you can see that she's decided to do exactly that. She uses a very neutral powder. It's not translucent, it's got a little bit of colour in it, but she uses it just to dust everything into place. She's not using pressed powder today. She dusts everything into place, takes a look, steps back, takes a look in the mirror, check everything's looking well blended and balanced, and then she adds her bronze, and this is to warm the face. And all the bronzer does is just naturally hit where you would take colour in the sunshine. So she uses a little bit in the forehead, a little bit down the nose, but not so much that it takes away from what you've done with your contour. And then just a little bit on the tops of the cheeks again, not taking away from previous work. And maybe a tiny dusting just on the chin, but very light and like a kiss of sunlight, nothing more. Just a hint of colour. So you're watching now as she moves towards some eye makeup. And it's just a very basic eye. So she uses a primer again, just a primer applied to those eyelids to give the product something to hold to. No primer on the eyelids can mean that the natural oils can dull the colour. So even with the most vibrant colours, if there's nothing there for them to stick to, they can mix with the natural oils and fade away and dull down. And then she chooses the most simple yet effective of classic looks, a gentle bronze smoky eye. And all it is a neutral light brown base dusted all over that eyelid, followed by a mid-tone which works from the middle of the eyelid out, and she buffs that out with the relevant brush. And then she takes a darker brown and she works in the socket line and underneath the eye to create depth and shadow. And this creates a bit of drama, but she's not doing an evening look, so it's still very wearable. You could wear this in daytime, no problem at all. And she blends those colours, balances both eyes, buffs them out, checking in the mirror, checking face to face to make sure everything's even. Ask the model to open her eyes. Make sure it's all looking symmetrical. It's never perfectly symmetrical, but you're aiming for as balanced as possible. And then she takes a dark brown kohl liner and uses this on the eye line, and just a little bit on the waterline, tiny bit under the eye too. add definition. Blends this out so it looks soft and smoky. It's very pretty. And then she curls the eyelashes and uses a nice dramatic mascara. Top and bottom, just a few thin layers, as this is far more effective than using too much at once and making it all clumpy. And then she asks the model to take the wand and just finish it off herself, because quite often this is the secret to getting the best result, is to just ask your model to really get in there with the brush and finish it off. And she does that beautifully. And then the makeup artist brushes through with a little eyelash comb to make sure everything's separated. Looks great. It's really elongated and thickened those lashes. And then she runs some very natural eyebrow product through those eyebrows for definition. It's a pencil that very, very simply replaces what looks to be little natural hairs that are missing in the eyebrows, which everyone's got, thickens where necessary, defines where it looks good, just balances out that shape. And it's little individual strokes that mimic the hairs, so you can't even tell that there's product in those eyebrows. Then she sets them with a gel. And when you look at it, you're really surprised because those eyebrows look very defined, much fuller, but natural. And you can't actually see that there's any product there. You wouldn't know. It makes a big difference. It really frames those eyes. Then she moves to the lips. The model had already put some balm on before she arrived, so they're nice and hydrated. She chooses a nice neutral pinky peach, and the first thing she does is just very gently define and correct the lip line using a pencil, light feathery strokes. But then she takes the pencil onto the lips, and that will give the lip gloss something to cling to, and it'll also mean that when the gloss fades, there's still colour there. If she really buffs that in using a lip brush, that there's no hard line, no defining line, but the lips already look fuller and balanced. And then she takes some gloss, applies to the back of her hand, and uses that lip brush to very gently work into the lips. So it's not just a glossy finish on the lips, it's actually a gloss that's blended into the product that's already there. And the end result is a very natural, very wearable look. Doesn't look sticky, doesn't look gluey. That gloss has been worked in, and it's working with that lip pencil to create a really, really pretty result. And then she checks again in the mirror, asks the model what she thinks, makes a few little adjustments, adds a little bit more powder and a bit more blusher now that she can see exactly what's required. Uses a finishing spray just to set everything in place. Takes the clips out of the hair, gets the model completely ready. She's looking great, she's feeling great. You've learned a lot today. You've also been surprised at how relaxing it is. The energy and the vibes in the room have just been perfect. Just really relaxed, really happy. You know that you would love to experience this again. Maybe next time a more dramatic look, or something really, really different for a photo shoot. You've had the best time, and now you can't wait to see the results as she goes off to do her photos.